glad to see you all here. My name's Nathan Tublitz. I'm the outgoing Senate President. You notice there's a smile on my face. And I'm here to let you know that we are going to go through all of this as quickly as possible. And at the end of this meeting, with any luck, there should be a very nice spread right outside the room to celebrate the end of the year. So, and I would like to invite you all to stick around and eat it, please. So, with no further ado, we are going to move on straight to the agenda. We do not have any minutes to approve this year because this time around, because the minutes of the last meeting, which was only 2 weeks ago, haven't yet been transcribed. And so what we normally do with that case is that we carry over and we will adopt and pass the minutes at the beginning of the meeting in October, which is the first meeting of next year. So we move straight on to the State of the Union, and it is my pleasure to introduce, for the last time, our President, Richard Lariviere.
Thank you. Thank you. Something vaguely ominous about being announced that this is the last time you'll be introduced. I assume you meant because of your change in status rather than mine. Have you been talking to the board? No. Well, thank you, Nathan, and thank you for an opportunity to speak with you again. I want to express my gratitude to the Senate that has invested so much of its time in the last year on a variety of issues, many of which seem to be perennial, but we have to engage them anyway. I'm deeply grateful to you, and I want to welcome all of the new senators who will be joining this body. This is one of the most important dimensions, one of the most important organizations in the shared governance structure of a university. It's an enormous responsibility. It will probably take, for those of you who are new, it will probably take a great deal more time than you expect. And I hope it does take more time than you expect, because the decisions that you make here affect far more people than you. It's a big responsibility, and the demands are great. I also want to thank the faculty, the governance committee, this faculty group that has been working on the revision of the Constitution. I think probably the Constitution of the United States was done more quickly, but who knew what the outcome of that would be? We probably have some idea what the outcome of this Constitution will be, so we're being a little more careful. We are very close, and I'm very grateful for the process that has been involved here. My expectation is that we will have a final revision ready for adoption in the fall. I am asking that we adopt formally two policies recommended by the Senate: the policy on research misconduct and the Officer of Administration contracts. Those have been carefully vetted, thoroughly discussed by all affected, I think, now, and we can confidently implement them. There are three other policy recommendations that I'm referring back to the Senate for further refinement. These are policies that need adjustments in order to comport or to comply, depending on the source, either with the Oregon revised statutes or with the Oregon, what does OAR stand for? Oregon Administrative Rules, right, yeah. We need to make some relatively minor adjustments there, and we're already in discussion. I'm not sure exactly which bodies will handle which of those issues, but Dave Hubin will work with Rob Keir and the Senate to make sure that we get this done expeditiously. I'm also very encouraged by our discussions around the development of policies in general. I think that we are making progress in avoiding the starts and stops and lack of communication that results in enormous investments of time only to find out that the person that we should have talked to in the first place has a reason that we can't do what we thought we could do, etc. Now, we'll never be able to do away with that completely, but I'm confident that we are at least engaging it in a way that will make the development and implementation of policy much more expeditious. As some of you may know, we have a search for a chief financial officer underway. We don't really have a chief financial officer at the University of Oregon. We've sort of asked Francis Dyke to sign on that dotted line whenever we needed a CFO, but the conception of that position, the responsibility of that position is something that we haven't had here, and it's something that I feel that we desperately need. The number of decisions, the number of questions and issues that are looming before the university that a CFO should really be handling are growing very rapidly. And if we stuck by the normal academic timing of this search, we probably couldn't expect to have someone on board before January 1st at the earliest. I've discussed with a number of colleagues, some of whom are on this body, others who represent other interests, about the need for an expeditious, an expediting of that search. And I'm going to go ahead with this search, even though it will probably mean that some of the candidates, maybe all of the candidates, will visit during the summer. Now, this isn't ideal because I know that many of you will be off drinking margaritas and eating bonbons on the beach, which is what all professors do in the summer, according to some of our friends in legislatures, not in this state, but elsewhere that I've been. So I don't like doing this, but I think the urgency of getting somebody in place requires it. We will still have an open search and campus visits, and people who are here can meet and so on. It's not that we're rushing this, it's just that we don't want to hold it in abeyance throughout the summer and then have to wait another 4 or 5 months before the person starts. What we have said to the headhunting firm who are helping us, that we want to develop as robust a list and hire someone as quickly as possible. Now, we're not going to sacrifice quality for speed, but we really have to move quickly on this, I think. And what else do I want to mention to you? Well, I think in general, it's fair to say that we've had a very productive year here of working out lots of answers that the university needs to pressing questions, and to engaging, I think, in pretty good faith the process of making sure that we have consulted, that we have spoken with, that we have engaged the people that need to be engaged in the development of policies and practices. Now, in an institution this complex, I'm sure you'll appreciate the fact that we can never, ever be completely successful in that endeavor. But my sense is that we can be a lot better than we have been in the past, and that's progress in some ways. We will continue to work on this and fix things as they need fixing. But just being able to steer everybody to the policy website and know that whatever is up there is the official policy, that there isn't a document in a file somewhere that will change your understanding of things, etc. We're not even there yet, but that's the goal, and we will get there, I think, expeditiously. I want to thank Nathan in particular for his leadership in the last 2 years. It's been a period of, well, with some relatively unusual issues that have come up that I think Nathan has handled with skill and effectiveness, and I'm very much looking forward to working with his successor, Rob Keir. With that, I'm going to close by simply saying how pleased I am that Shelley, Carla, and John are being recognized today for their work. So, any questions of me before I, for the very last time, surrender the microphone to Nathan?
You can take it with you. I've got one. questions? By the way, just to set the ground rules here, we are live. So just remember that when you ask questions. Okay? And we also would like you to tell us who you are, and so that we can get it on the record. So any questions? Any issues? I have one. It's not really a question. It's the issue of your response to the policies that we've passed here. And I need to give the Senate a little bit of background before I ask. It was not until Richard became president that we ever thought that policies would ever come to this body. Policies have always been the domain of Johnson Hall, and they never came here. And Richard, in his wisdom, has decided that they need to come here. So we've been working out the nuts and bolts of how to pass policies and get them approved by the Senate and move them to the administration. And some of that has been, the road's not been perfectly straight. And so, as Richard has mentioned, we passed 5 policies here, and 2 of them Richard is adopting, and 3 of them he's sending back for the Senate to work on again. I guess I would ask that, because sending it back without a specific set of requests of what's wrong makes it difficult to repair it and make it better, I would ask that you or somebody in the administration put in writing what the problems are for each one and what you think we can do to fix them and who we need to talk to.
That's what we're doing.
Great. Thank you. And you can send it to Robert. Any questions? If not,
thank you.
Thank you. You have no idea how pleased I am that we have Richard Lariviere as a president. Earlier this year, the Senate, in its wisdom, decided to initiate 2 awards, in addition to the 1 award we've been giving for a long time, which is the Wayne Westling Award for faculty service and leadership. We felt it was important to give 2 other awards to 2 other major groups here on campus. One is for the officers of administration, who work tirelessly here, and not for a lot of money. And 2, to the classified staff, who also work tirelessly and often for even less money. Today, it is our pleasure, and when I mean pleasure, it's the Senate's pleasure, to award the first 2 awards to 2 people here on campus. And so the first one we're going to talk about is the Officers of Administration Award. It's to Shelley, Elliot, and I'd like to invite Tracy Bars to, is she here? Oh, the motion. Oh, I was, the most important, yeah, I really wanted to do the awards. Okay, thank you. Okay, so hold off all of that. I was so excited with the awards. Okay, we have to do this bit of business. You might think it's a trivial bit of business, like I do, but it's actually an official bit of business. We have to pass this motion. Excuse me for jumping out of sequence. I'm so excited to not be Senate President. Every year we have to award degrees, and the Senate has to actually confer those degrees en masse. And so what we do is we pass this motion every year. The motion says, the University of Oregon Senate recommends that the Oregon State Board of Higher Ed confer upon the persons whose names are included in the official degree list as compiled and certified by the University Registrar for the academic year 2010-11 and summer session of last year, 2010, the degree for which they have completed all requirements. This is a degree list that is prepared by the Registrar's Office, but it is our responsibility to make that happen. And so, this is the last motion we get to pass this year, and so I would like to open it up for discussion. Not hearing much, okay? I think we can move on to the vote. So this is only for senators, okay? So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. All abstain, please say abstained. The motion passes. Thank you very much. And I thank you on behalf of all of those students who will be getting their degrees because we actually did this motion. So, we now get to do the fun stuff, which is to do the awards. We're going to do the OA award first. Tracy, will you come up now, please? Thank you.
Can I have Shelley come down here? I don't know if you guys know Shelley. She works in biology. All the OAs know her because she toils endlessly on our behalf. Shelley, on behalf of the Officer Administrating Council and the OA Senators, it is my pleasure to announce you as the inaugural recipient, I'm stumbling here, of the University of Oregon Senate Award for Officers of Administration, Leadership, and Service. Your nomination materials speak to your extraordinary university leadership and your service on behalf of OAs across campus. You are a mentor, inspiration, cheerleader, and role model. You have served on a wide variety of committees and elected positions during your 10 years at the U of O. You lead by example, you seek and accept responsibilities above and beyond your normal job duties in order to advocate and advance officers of administration and the university as a whole. You have been instrumental in gaining the recognition of OAs as the professional administrative backbone of campus. You have fostered regular professional development opportunities as a key element for Office of Administration growth and success. You are a stellar example of how one person can make a difference across an entire campus, and you deserve this award. Thank you on behalf of all of us.
I don't know if I was ready for that. Thank you. I'll just be really brief here. I just want to thank you so much for this award. I'm deeply honored to have been nominated and then selected as the first recipient of this award. To me, it represents validation and support from my peers, which is so important to me. For the countless hours that I've spent trying to, over the past several years, representing OAs on a number of fronts. One area in particular that I feel a great deal of progress has been made is in the effort to make sure that OA input is included at the table at all levels. With over 1,000 OAs employed at the U of O, this input is significant, important, and necessary to foster a campus climate of inclusiveness and respect. I am proud to say that I've been a part of this effort and others on behalf of OAs through my service on the OA Council and the Faculty Advisory Council. I'm a big believer in fulfilling a service component to the U of O in addition to our regular full-time jobs. And as a part of that, I would like to encourage all OAs to consider serving on either the OA Council or the FAC. It is time well spent, in my opinion. Thank you again so much for this award. Thank you.
Shelley is my department's administrative assistant, and I can tell you that she's fantastic. And she's fantastic because also at a higher level, I have worked with her on the OA Council when I have been president and also on the FAC. She's a very strong advocate for all OAs. You should be proud that she speaks for you. The next award is another Leadership and Service Award to a person on the classified staff. And to introduce the awardee, I'd like to invite Theo Thompson to come on down, and I guess we should have Carla come down too, please. And Jane, if you want to come down too, because you were part of the selection group. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Theodorica Thompson and Jane. We'd also like to invite Ed Singer to come to present this award with us, because if not for Ed Singer, who was a senator of the selection committee, it was Ed, thanks to Ed, who actually brought voting rights, voting privileges for us on the Senate. Thanks to Nathan. Nathan, we'd like to thank you for your leadership. And this award was, the question of what this award is about, I mean, we had deserving individuals, but what was key was what a change agent was, because that was integral to what we looked at. And so for many of us, the term change agent was new. And so we had to kind of decide, what it meant for us. And fundamentally, what we looked at as Mandy, one of So what was key in this is, the scope of scale, the change set people apart. Campus-wide changes weighted more than individual department or program changes, also the breadth of activity and areas that the person has worked with. And Jane, for her, it was the catalyst that kept coming up, and the ability to look into the future and motivate people to make things stick, as well as the aspect of someone who may challenge and take people out of their comfort zone. So, we had this criteria, a matrix that we weighed all this, and, merging out of our process was Carla. In fact, I was coordinating with Chris for the nominations, and when I asked Carla, because she was the chair of the committee at the time, and said, what happens if one of the senators was nominated? And she says, well, you have to contact that person and say that she has to recuse herself. Then I said, oh, well, then that will be you. And so it is our pleasure to be presenting Carla, who embodies what it is for our Leadership Award.
I think I need the podium. For a change agent, it probably has something to say. Thank you, Theo and Jane. I really appreciate you being up here with me today, and I'd like those former past senators to also stand right now and be recognized. Ed, you, Sue, please stand up. If there are any other senators, there's Lexi, Starr, Holmberg, Jane, please, all of you stand up. If any of the folks who are past senators could have been nominated for this award, and I want folks to recognize that they do great work too. And these folks that I've named, they're folks that have stood with me when I've fallen down. They've picked me up. They've seen me at my worst, and they've picked the ball up and kept it rolling. Talk about motivating. So they've kept me going, and I want to thank all of you past senators. I'd also like to, again, recognize Ed, because it was Ed and me that stood together, and with the help of other senators and classified staff ranks from the past, and we kept working for 8 years to get voting rights on the Senate here and to have the equity of that. I thank you, Ed, on behalf of all of us classified staff. It does take a group to make change, and so I can't stand up here by myself
without having recognized the folks that have worked really hard with me. Nathan, I'd also like to take a moment to thank you, because when you made that phone call to me over 10 years ago and asked us to join the Senate, I didn't even know what it was. And now I do, and I've been involved, and a number of us have gotten involved, and we've been involved because of you asking us to come and join as a stakeholder of the university, and I thank you for all that you do. Thank you. I'd like to also thank the folks that nominated me and for recognizing the work that we do together. Jason and others, thank you so much for nominating me. It's truly an honor to have been nominated and then awarded this. And now I'd like to wave and say hi to my parents. They're streaming live from Indiana. So, Mom and Dad, it's your little girl Carla up here. Those of you know Star Holmberg. She's one of the past UO senators. And every time that someone starts complaining to her about something on campus, she says, you have to get involved. You have to do something about it. And she's right. Star is completely right. And so I did. I got involved. And so for a number of years, the UO senators have had three main talking points. And our talking points have been professional development, diversity, and also respect for workplace environment. And so I'd like to spend some time talking about that today. Coming to work every day isn't just about coming here for the money, where money helps and, getting a raise would be great, but that's not the only part that brings us to work every day. It really needs to be a place, and it's more important to us than money than it is to be a respectful place to come to work. And so when I tell you some things, many of us are fearful of retaliation, verbal and physical threats as we enter our workplaces each day. Many of us are harassed, bullied on a daily basis at work. Some of us have been physically assaulted in our workplace. Many of us have been asked to go above and beyond the call of duty and do things that are illegal, immoral, and unethical. Many of us have not been made whole. Many of us have had our confidentiality betrayed when we report the abuses that we face. Many of us have been asked for help. We've asked for help from many sources on campus. Many of us have had our jobs threatened for speaking up against corruption in our unit, and some of us have even lost our jobs for speaking up. So when I was talking to one of my colleagues the other day, and we were talking about respectful workplace, and we were curious, and we were wondering, okay, so if we change the framework in which we talk about respectful workplace in our classified staff workplaces, and we changed it to talk about either class or gender or age, if we change it to talk about religion or race or ethnicity, would we be heard by administration in the help that we're asking for? Would we be heard? Oh, but the conversation about respectful workplace is about class. It is about gender. It is about age, religion, race, and ethnicity. It is about all those things. So President Lariviere, when you came here the first week, classified staff told you about the three issues: professional development, diversity, respectful workplace, and we asked for your help, and unfortunately it hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. Many of us are trying to make a difference from the bottom, and we're working really hard, and it's not just me, and there's others of us that are working really hard, but we need your help. We need your help from the top down to meet us in the middle. That's what we need. We've asked for a committee to be formed with classified staff and administrators to help us deal with a campus-wide respectful workplace, and we've been turned down. Whereas our labor management committee, according to our Article 57, does talk about respectful workplace as one of their subjects, it's not enough. Human resources solution is to have us go to them and to tell them about our workplaces, and people are scared. They're scared to do it. Personally, as one steward of many, I'm helping 3 individuals right now who are afraid to come forward and talk about their workplace and the harassment, the discrimination, or the bullying that they're experiencing. There's no trust. They're scared of retaliation. They're scared of losing their jobs, and that's because of what they've seen happen to others around them. So we do need your help. We need your help, and we know there's people in administration that are great folks, and I can think of 3 off the top of my head. Dave Hubin, you're one of them. Tim Black, Brian Smith, they're all great people, and they treat people with respect, and it would be an amazing thing to start a committee with folks like the 3 of you to start talking about our respectful workplace environment. So I hope, President Lariviere, you hear my plea for your help for all of us classified staff. In closing, I do want to recognize Shelley and John, both of you, amazing individuals, and I know I'm sandwiched in between both of them today. I do want to take a moment to recognize your amazing work in the form of offers of your administration and also in the ranks of faculty. I appreciate what you do because your work includes us. I know it does. I'd also like to thank the Fab Four. Your everlasting love and support for me keeps me going. Also for my cohort in the CSC program, it's my pleasure to learn with you and from you. For the 30, keep looking for that bliss, find your bliss, go out into the world and make change. For all the students, especially the OMAS front desk, I want to thank you. I don't think you realize that it's because of you that I come to work every day. And besos, abrazos to all of you. It is because of students that classified staff come to work every day. And I know that there are more than 1 or 2 classified staff in the room. So if I could get all the classified staff that's here to stand up, please. I want to recognize all of you. I know you're streaming live, too. I know you're streaming live. Classified staff can't get away from your desk. Thank you. This is for all of you. We're 1,500 strong. That's a huge group on this campus. Emilio, dije que no lloro yo, pero me conoces. Lastly, I'd like to thank my parents. Thank you, Mom and Dad. It's because of the foundation that you've passed down from my grandparents through you to me that has me standing here in service to others. Thank you.
I was going to say something about Carla to those of you who didn't know her, but I think you know her now. That's Carla. And we are honored to have her here on the Senate and in this university. With that, we move on to the next award, which is the award, the Wayne Westling Award. Wayne Westling was a faculty member here for many years in the law school. He was a devout admirer of campus governance and worked tirelessly to make it better. He was taken from us, unfortunately, at a young age, and when I was Senate President 9 years ago, I felt that it was essential that we honored him in some way, and so we established this Wayne Westling Award for faculty leadership and service, and we have given it out annually since then in his name. I'd like to ask Robert Keir to come up and make the introduction, and John Bonine, you might as well come up too, please.
Thank you, Nathan. It's with great pleasure that today you are awarded the Wayne Westling Award. I don't know how many of you know that John Bonine is a pioneer in environmental law in this country. And if you don't know his work, I encourage you to explore it because it's truly inspiring. And the passion that he's brought to public interest law, he is also devoted to shared governance in a way that's truly admirable. I've served on many committees with him, and I can say that in every case, he always lives what he believes in a way that is for the highest good of all of those concerned within that context. I've seen this continually, not only in the committees, but also in the Senate. He's somebody who strives always to get it right and does so through respectful dialogue and through a passion for the law in the highest sense of what that means. So it's truly a great pleasure to award this very important award for service and leadership to you today. I know you would like to make some comments, which we are all looking forward to hearing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Bob. And thank you in particular to Shelley and Carla for the work you've done, not in the Senate only, but throughout the campus, because it's such a pleasure to work with all of you, and particularly with those who have exhibited the qualities that have earned them those awards. Before I start, what I'd like to do is say, even though my first language is English and French is a far fourth or fifth and not even there, nevertheless, merci, by passing around some chocolate so that you can get something that'll hold you over until the meal that's promised outside, which I presume is sumptuous. I want to thank, first of all, my wife, Professor Svetlana Kravchenko, who's here today with me and who is largely responsible for what I do and accomplish because she keeps pushing me to do things. So first of all, Svetlana, would you stand up? I just want people to recognize my lovely wife. And secondly, I want to thank Nathan in particular. Nathan's kind of a rabble-rouser. You probably didn't notice. And it's kind of astounding how well he's done this Senate leadership bit. He has proved, I think, that this Senate can really make a difference and faculty governance can make a difference. And I really feel honored to have worked with Nathan and to continue to work with Nathan. I want to thank the University Senate for bestowing upon me the 2011 Wayne Westling Award for Leadership and Service. This award bears the name of one of the most generous persons I've known. Wayne Westling spent the best years of his professional career here at our university, and he worked hard to make it better, giving deep meaning to the terms leadership and service. Wayne's energy was always engaged on behalf of all of us, and Wayne, as Nathan mentioned, was taken from this earth at much too young an age by an illness. He's no longer here to instruct us by example in what it means to love this university through action. I believe that an important part of what makes this university a special place to work and live is action in the form of participation in governance. Now, I realize it's not as exciting to talk about governance as it is to talk about academic freedom or what may happen to the green spaces along the Willamette River, but having an impact on any of those issues is related to governance. Each of us on the faculty, on the staff, in the student body knows about governance when she labors for days, weeks, months, inside or outside of the Senate, on the committees of this institution or meetings in our various schools and departments. Each of us knows even more about governance when you take up an issue on your own without it having been assigned to you in the job description, the employment contract, or the course syllabus or other assignment. Our university is not a corporation or a business. although the pressures surely push the institution in that direction. Each of you is part of the pushback. I want to ask you this question today. Is the University of Oregon Charter viable in the 21st century? Let me read to you the most salient words of the Charter of the University of Oregon enacted in 1876. Quote, this is Oregon Revised Statute, section 352.010 for those of you who really want to look it up. The president and professors constitute the faculty of the university and as such have the immediate government and discipline of it and the students therein. I'll post this online with footnotes so that you know that I've left some words out and bracketed them in square brackets to be accurate as a lawyer must be. This language came directly from Section 14 of the law enacted by the state legislature 135 years ago. A second provision of the law delineates the power of the president, ORS 352.004. The president of the university is also president of the faculty, and the president has the authority to control and give general directions to the practical affairs of the institution. So the university has before it both matters that involve the immediate government and discipline of it, and other matters which are those of practical affairs. Matters in the first category belong to the faculty, which consists of the president and the professors. And matters in the second category, the practical affairs, simply belong to the president and his or her administration. The president may choose to involve others beyond Johnson Hall in that second category, however. Those matters that are in the first category are mandated by law to be our business. They are, in particular, matters of shared governance. And they are shared even more widely with the delegation of governance by the statutory faculty to this university senate to include all stakeholders that have an interest and can participate in this institution in a valuable way. Shared governance between the administration and the senate and the faculty generally requires good faith and consultation on all sides, and a resolve by all not to press too hard on the precise drawing of the line. The winner in any line drawing battle is likely to be the loser in a larger sense, in terms of loss of morale of those who have been defeated in the line drawing, or the loss of face by colleagues. For example, denying to the faculty and to its delegate, the University Senate, its proper authority can lead to the departure of important members of the faculty or the institution and an inability to attract top talent. Our president knows this. For another example, insistence on Senate involvement in non-academic matters is a prescription for this Senate being sidelined. Ultimately, it will lead to the loss of important faculty or Senate authority in areas where our participation is important for the health of the institution. We in the Senate know this. Fortunately, a number of colleagues, including several here in the Senate, are working together, along with the administration, to elaborate more carefully our governing procedures at the University of Oregon in the U of O Constitution. And I think in particular I should recognize Frank and Jette for their important work on this beyond any possible call of duty, and I would like to applaud them. Faculty, staff, and students will continue to play vital roles and have a real voice in the shared governance of this institution where it is appropriate to do so under the revised Constitution. The process will, as President Lariviere said, continue into the early fall when we will presumably adopt a new Constitution. But we do not get shared governance merely by an action or a decision in this Senate or in the statutory faculty or in the administration. Whatever we decide formally in documents must be reiterated and acted upon with the attention that we pay in the work that some of you, indeed all of you, are willing to undertake. So please keep your eyes open. Let me read the words of the University of Oregon Charter to you one more time. The president and professors constitute the faculty, and as such, and with additional delegations we've made, have the immediate government and discipline of it, and the students therein. You may have noticed I have not answered my question, is the University of Oregon Charter viable in the 21st century? That's up to you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. John has been a stalwart at this institution and of this body in particular, and we owe him a great debt of gratitude, only part of which can be paid as in awarding this award. We now move on to several talks by the student body representatives, and I'd like to ask sadly outgoing, ASUO President Amelie Rousseau to come and say a few words. And this will be followed by the incoming President, Ben Eckstein.
Hi, everyone. My name's Amelie. Yesterday was my last day in office, so I'm working on getting my thesis done and getting out of here. But I just wanted to go over really briefly kind of some of our accomplishments this year, and then introduce Ben. I'm very honored to introduce Ben today. So this year we've had it's been a tough year, and we've had some pretty critical discussions about the way higher education is governed in our state, public safety reform, just general overall funding, the direction that our university is going as it's growing very quickly. And we've gotten students, staff, and faculty engaged in those conversations and built really strong alliances with faculty and staff. And my involvement in the University Senate and Senate Exec has been tremendous in that, and we've worked really well together, especially on issues of shared governance like the riverfront issue, among other things. But specifically this year, we've also been able to create the Student Sustainability Center, and that's really exciting and something that was totally student-driven. That was the vision of the last few years, and will be a vehicle and hub for more environmental and sustainable activity on campus for students. Tobacco-free campus, that was also something that we worked on with faculty and staff and got done this year, which is really exciting. And again, the U of O gets to be a leader in that first Pac-12 school to go smoke-free, and that's really exciting as well. We registered over 6,000 students to vote, which was huge. We led the state, and that was really exciting. And we were very active in Salem, making sure that we got students involved in the legislative process. And we're at the table, and we're really strong stakeholders in conversations about higher education reform. Yep, I think that's pretty much it, but I'd like to introduce Ben. Ben has served as the ASUO Chief of Staff this year, and he's very dedicated and probably too intelligent for his own good, so we'll pass it over, but he'll do a great job, and I'm happy to welcome him.
Thanks for that, Amelie. I didn't bring chocolate. I didn't know I was supposed to, so I'm sorry. I really just wanted to say that I look forward to working with you all this year. I've been in the ASUO since my freshman year, so it's been a really central part of my involvement on campus, and it's personally been an experience that's allowed me to grow a lot as a person. And in the last 2 years, I've seen two administrations in the ASUO that have worked on a wide range of issues, some of them shared between the two administrations, some of them distinct. But what I have seen those administrations have in common the past 2 years has been a really strong commitment to shared governance at this university, and I know that that commitment is embodied in University Senate. So if there's really one message I could give, it's just that I share that commitment, and my administration, as we move forward over the coming year, will certainly try to embody shared governance and work with faculty, staff, and administration to make sure that all of the stakeholders are at the table making decisions together, and that we can make sure all of our perspectives are included in the direction that our university goes. So I really do look forward to working with you all, meeting you all, and I want to thank you for the work that you've done this year, and I want to thank Amelie for the work that she's done this past year. And I'm just excited to get to know you all and work with you. So, thank you.
I would like to say that one of the things that we've done this year is to develop stronger ties with the student government, which is essential, and it's very rewarding for me to see students step up to the plate and to do such an excellent job as Amelie has done this year. We now get to the next item on the agenda, which is the remarks by the outgoing Senate President. Moi. I have a few things I want to say. Two years ago, on May 27, 2009, I came before this body to run for Senate President. I said at that time the following, and I quote myself. We have failed to be included in most of the serious decisions being made on this campus, and as a result, we've lost the respect of our colleagues and co-workers across campus. It is time to reverse that trend and to reestablish that respect by reaffirming the primacy of our shared governance system at the University of Oregon. So now, it's 2 years later. What steps has the Senate and our governance system done to reaffirm the primacy of our shared governance? Well, the Senate's changed its way, the way it does its business. The new Senate now discusses and votes on motions at the beginning of its meetings rather than at the end, or not at all. This new Senate now engages in serious, in-depth discussions on topical issues nearly every meeting. The Senate now reviews and, if appropriate, approves university policies, which we've talked about earlier in this meeting and which has not been done before. The Senate has new, more responsive policies and procedures. These structural changes have resulted in the Senate having a new and significant impact on campus life and activities. In the past year and a half, the Senate has passed an important motion on grade inflation. We ran a public forum on the new partnership proposal and sponsored a forum and survey on unionization. We spoke out against the Pacifica Forum hate speech, passed an academic freedom policy, insisted that the Provost report to the Faculty Personnel Committee on tenure and promotion decisions, and formally supported the efforts of students to help undocumented students attend Oregon universities. And let's not forget the 2 Senate motions on the Riverfront Research Park. That provided a foundation for our President's recent decision to consider relocating the proposed ORI building to a site away from our precious riverfront. To those who say that the Senate does nothing, I respectfully suggest that they reread the list I just spoke about. It's clear that the Senate has started to become the center of our shared governance system. But note, I did not say that the Senate is there yet. Far from it. However, the Senate is moving forward. This forward trajectory is a testament of the hard work by all of you, our university senators, and other campus colleagues who have believed in the shared governance and are committed to improving our governance system. I've been on the Senate for over a decade, and this is the strongest, most thoughtful Senate in history, in my memory. Thanks to each and every one of you, those of you who are in the room and those of you who are listening somewhere. Thanks to you, students. Thanks to officers of administration. Thanks to classified staff. Thanks to tenured and non-tenured faculty. There is another group who we must thank for improving our campus governance, and that's the administration, starting with our president, Richard Lariviere. Richard has set the tone for openness and transparency and serious discussion. Our conversations between him and I are always honest, respectful, and frank. And of course, we always agree. I thank Richard for setting this tone and the rest of his administration for following it. The Senate and our university are much better as a result of their efforts. But let's not drown in this sort of congratulatory sea, okay? We have much work in front of us. We're hanging on to our top-tier research classification by the thinnest of hairs. The Carnegie Foundation recently returned us to the top research classification, but we've been demoted by them before. And we could easily find ourselves in that position again. We are members of the prestigious Association of American Universities, but without substantial improvement, our continued position in that elite organization may be questioned. The status of our instructional mission is also tenuous. We've increased the number of students from 17,000 to 24,500 in the past 15 years, which is a 44% increase. During the same period, what do you think the number of the full-time faculty members are in terms of an increase? 5%. Our school occupies, in my opinion, a unique niche among research universities. We're a top-flight research institution that historically has delivered a quality undergraduate education. But how can we continue to provide that quality when some classes exceed 400 students? When graduate students are teaching 400-level courses? When class sizes continue to grow across the board? When we are hiring non-tenure track faculty at horrible wages? And when students cannot graduate in 4 years? We need to have more full-time tenured faculty members, and we need them now, before our quality declines, not after. The only way we will achieve the dual goals of maintaining research excellence and delivering a quality education is to develop a strong consensus across campus, and our governance system is a crucial component of that effort. Unfortunately, our governance system is not always called upon to help meet the challenges facing us. The central administration needs to value the work done by faculty and others within the governance system and to bring various stakeholder groups to the table before decisions are made, not after the fact. The Senate does important work. I was very glad to hear that Richard acknowledged that today, but I think we need to have that acknowledged more than once. Faculty, staff, and students must also accept the fact that not every administrator is Darth Vader, and that most administrators hold the same goal and values as we do. And the Senate and the administration each have to work more closely with the Student Senate and the ASUO executive so that we're all on the same page and moving forward towards our goals. Many believe our university governance system is broken and unworkable. These people believe that we're employees of a large corporation run by a CEO-led management team and that we need a union to address these problems. I respectfully beg to differ. We're not a corporation. We do not have customers or clients. We are fundamentally a different entity. We are an educational institution. Our goals are twofold: to add to the world's knowledge base through scholarship and to teach our students the skills to live in a complex world of today and to navigate through the world of tomorrow. We are all part of that effort, and by we, I mean every single person who works on this campus, from the outstanding classified staff and overworked OAs to the devoted non-tenure track and tenured related faculty. Western academia has a 700-plus year history of faculty governance, where members of the academy make consensus decisions about the direction of the university. The Senate is a direct descendant of that honored tradition. We must not surrender that tradition because of outside pressure to be a business. We are not employees. We are owners of the academic enterprise and the guardians of academic quality. The key to the future success of the University of Oregon, in my view, are surprisingly simple. There's 4. 1, engage in respectful dialogue. 2, listen to others, especially those you disagree with. You might learn something. 3, stop speaking in us versus them terms. And 4, develop consensus. All of these are essential to achieve our mission. But what is our mission? How many of you have read the U of O mission statement? See, this is what worries me. Okay? It is, in my opinion, the single best document ever written about our institution. So as an educator, I'm going to read it to you now. Which is why I called it up earlier. The University of Oregon mission statement, and let me make it larger. Well, I'll just read it. The University of Oregon is a comprehensive research university that serves its students and the peoples of Oregon, the nation, and the world through the creation and transfer of knowledge in the liberal arts, the natural and social sciences, and the professions. It is the AAU flagship institution of the Oregon University system. The university is a community of scholars dedicated to the highest standards of academic inquiry, learning, and service. Recognizing that knowledge is the fundamental wealth of civilization, the university strives to enrich the public that it sustains it through a commitment to undergraduate education with the goal of helping individuals learn to question critically, think logically, communicate clearly, act creatively, and live ethically. A commitment to graduate education to develop creators and innovators who will generate new knowledge and shape experience for the benefit of humanity. A recognition that research, both basic and applied, is essential to the intellectual health of the university as well as to the enrichment of the lives of Oregonians by energizing the state's economic, cultural, and political structure. The establishment of a framework for lifelong learning that leads to productive careers and to the enduring joy of inquiry. The integration of teaching, research, and service as mutually enriching enterprises that together accomplish the university's mission and supports its spirit of community. The acceptance of the challenge of an evolving social, political, and technological environment by welcoming and guiding change rather than reacting to it. A dedication to the principles of equality of opportunity and the freedom from unfair discrimination for all members of the university community, and acceptance of true diversity as an affirmation of individual identity within the welcoming community. A commitment to international awareness and understanding and to the development of a faculty and student body that are capable of participating effectively in a global society. The conviction that freedom of thought and expression is the bedrock principle on which university activity is based. The cultivation of an attitude towards citizenship that fosters a caring, supportive atmosphere on campus and the wise exercise of civic responsibilities and individual judgments through life. And finally, a continuing commitment to affordable public higher education. It's brilliant, isn't it? Really. We can achieve this mission, but we can only do it if we do it together. And our shared governance system, which, as John mentioned, is established in the original charter of the university in 1876, and which includes the Senate, is an essential component of that effort. We can't do it otherwise. It's been a true honor and a deep pleasure and privilege to serve you all as your president these past 17 months. I thank each and every one of you and ask only one thing, that you continue to work as collaboratively and closely with the next Senate President, my friend Robert Keir, as you have with me. Thank you. Before I hand over the reins to Robert, I have a few things to say about the people who I've worked with. I've said a few things about the Senate and about other people, including the administration. I haven't said anything about the people who actually we work together as a team. First, we have our new executive coordinator, Chris Prosser, who came on board in January and has done not only a fabulous job, but he's taken on responsibilities we didn't even know existed, okay? And he's done it with dignity and aplomb and with dedication. It's a half-time job. He's probably worked time and a half on top of that. He deserves much credit for the rest, from all of us, and we have a small gift for him, which hopefully I can find, and I think it's these two. Okay, so we have a gift for you, 2 of them. Thank you, Chris. We also have a Senate parliamentarian. Now, the Senate parliamentarian has been with us for a long time. He was actually the first chair of the University Senate a while back. And he has been a stalwart member of the Senate because he has helped us find our way operationally and procedurally when nobody else knew which way we were going. And he's done a terrific job, and I have for him a small gift of appreciation. Now, I should tell you that Paul Simons grows his own wine, or grapes, and makes his own wine, and I'm a little embarrassed about giving him a bottle of wine, but I've been told this is a good one. Oh. Your wine's bigger than mine. So, thank you. Finally, I'd like to call up Robert as we transfer the heavy responsibility of power up here. We have two gifts, and I will tell you what they are. Okay, one is a gavel, mostly because the old gavel seems to have disappeared. Okay. I think this will go at my next musical competition. And we also have, just in case, Paul can't make it, Robert's Rules of Order. I now formally pass the baton and the microphone over to our new Senate President, Robert Kier. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you so much, Nathan, and don't go too far yet, because my first official act is to read this letter that is in commendation of someone who has contributed more than we can really account for, so much more. Dear Nathan, in the spirit of shared governance, we are writing to you with our deep gratitude for your 2 years of service to the University of Oregon as President of the Senate, 2009 to 2011. Over the course of your presidency, the university has faced some of the greatest challenges since its founding. No matter how great the demands of your position, you have continually devoted yourself to strengthening our shared governance system, and you have been successful in encouraging greater cooperation between all constituencies of the Senate and the central administration. We have all benefited from your tireless service and your devotion to improving our governance system, in part through your participation in the revision process for the Senate bylaws and the university constitution. Today, as you complete your presidency, we commend you for your vision and leadership and look forward to working with you as you continue to serve as both a senator and member of the Faculty Advisory Council. Sincerely, Richard Lariviere, President, and myself as incoming President. Thank you so much, Nathan. We would like you to have this in commemoration of your great leadership and service. Thank you. Thanks so much. Well, I have to say I had written some notes, and I will depart from that. Something incredible has happened here today. Did you sense that? In our award winners, when they came up and talked to us, from the bottom of their hearts, from the depths of their intellect, sharing who they really are with us and what really matters to them, I felt something move inside of me that reaffirmed my love for this university and why we are all here together. It's something we can't fully explain. When we try, we come close, but we can never quite encompass all of it. And I think that's because we're still in the process of searching for it. And that's a journey that we're taking together. And I'm going to give you some proposals today for how we can go forward, because I think we need to reaffirm our commitment together. We often do this within our own constituencies, but sometimes we don't do it as a single entity, which we are. You've heard John Bonine read the part of the charter. We've heard Carla tell us about some very troubling matters in her area. We've heard others talk about shared governance in really compelling ways. Now we have to step up and do our part. In some sense, this is what has been missing. Until we all do this together, we won't go forward. I will be standing here next year, and pretty much the same issues will come before us. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you, as a colleague and as a friend, to please join me in this journey. I'm going to make every possible effort I can to bring us all together in some new ways that will enable us to mature further as a university, as a single entity of many constituencies that are in fact a unity that we can only affirm through our action. We can't just say it, but we have to do it, and we must participate together in that endeavor. I've had an amazing year of experiences. When I stood here before you a year ago, I said that perhaps my first task would be to listen. And as a musician and composer, I feel prepared to do that. I've spent, I don't know how many hours, talking with people from each of the constituencies, which I see now more and more as a unity that has many different aspects to it, and listening deeply, the way I would to a new composition, the way I would to a Beethoven symphony. And what I've heard is something that has moved me beyond the way that I can exactly express it to you today. It's as though everybody really is speaking from the same set of concerns, but somehow we haven't created the vehicles through which we need to communicate these to each other and then work together to solve some of the problems that face us. So I'm going to propose a few things today that I would like you to join with me to enact over the next year. You could consider this as being my declaration of interdependence today, an affirmation of our interdependence. First, in conversations with Richard and with Jim Bean, we have come to the conclusion that there's need for more communication between the central administration and all of the constituencies. So exactly what we were hearing today from our award winners and others was already recognized by our central administration. Richard invited me to meet with him monthly, and Jim Bean the same, and they did it independently of each other. I think this shows something very important to all of us. I've already had my first meeting with each of them, and it was incredibly hopeful and promising in both cases. We agreed that we would have 3 presidents' forums next year that I will moderate, 1 per quarter, that all constituencies will be invited, and there will be open dialogue. And you have my promise, it will be open dialogue. And the same conversation with Jim Bean independently. The two of them had not discussed this before. Jim very much wanting a Provost's forum. I was thrilled, and we will also have Provost's forums, 1 each quarter. Again, I will moderate, and you have my promise, open dialogue between all constituencies and Jim. And then finally, after much consideration, I'm going to ask all of you to please join me in a process that I feel will move the university forward in some significant new ways. As you heard from John Bonine, in the charter, it's the president and the faculty that's charged with the governance of the university. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't do that as efficiently as John does, but you know what I mean, and you know the details of that. But I'm going to propose today that as an entity of many constituencies, we do something the Senate has not yet done. That is to create with each other a vision plan for the university that comes out of the deepest concerns and needs of all the constituencies together, not just each constituency, but all of the constituencies together. And that we put this forward, and when the time is right, that we approve it and offer it as, let us say, the central guidelines, the central set of guidelines for our university as we move forward. Often we enact legislation of various kinds, one motion, now we're acting on policies, so forth and so on. But we don't yet have a guiding vision that we've crafted together. And I think this would be very helpful to the central administration as well. This will, I hope, foster what I'm calling the 4 C's. Communication, and by that I mean better communication than we have at the moment. True connectivity between all of the constituencies. Community building. And finally, creativity, because sometimes we've left that piece out of what we're doing. We have a sense of a certain number of rules, other details, but we haven't always been as creative as we might be in seeking some new ways of doing things that sometimes could go beyond the immediate problems that we're facing. I'd like to encourage everybody to do that as part of this, so we will have a Senate retreat, I believe the first ever of its kind, in the fall. And I'll be in touch with all of you by email about that. Not just to say that we're going to have it, but to ask you how you would like that to unfold. So you will be asked how that Senate retreat should be structured and how we should go forward in effecting an open dialogue within the context of that retreat. Coming out of that will be the process for our development of a vision plan. All of this will be a completely transparent process that will be hopefully wisely represented on the website and will incorporate others, because as senators, you are representatives of all those who are part of our university throughout the campus. And I'm going to be asking you to hold yourselves accountable to communicate the details of what we're doing to your constituencies. Let's face it, we've had a rather weak record of reporting from senators to their own constituencies, in part because of what happens within each of the units in the meetings that you attend. But I'd like to suggest that everybody find a way within your own context to make a place in the most important meetings for reporting what is going on in the Senate, and really connect your work here to each of your units and to everyone who you serve. So I'd like to conclude by saying that I see this next year as one of true hope and promise. And I'd like to ask you again to please join with me with all of your energy, your hope, your determination to take this journey together. Let's envision the university that we truly want, and then let's work together to create it. And I'll say co-create it as a single entity made of so many different but deeply related constituencies. I couldn't be more thrilled to take this journey with you. And now it's time to celebrate. Celebrate the 2 years of Nathan's presidency and the hope and promise of the year to come. Let's go and have a wonderful celebration now. And I look forward to the work that we'll do together in the coming year. Thanks so much.
Move to adjourn? Second? So moved. Now let's party.